What if I told you that for centuries, some of the world's most famous masterpieces have been hiding a secret language in plain sight? I'm not talking about brushstrokes. I'm talking about a deliberate code, a symbolic language medieval artists used to broadcast their faith, preach to the public, and sometimes to brilliantly mock the very people who were paying their bills. These artists embedded secrets in their work that were meant only for those who knew how to look. For the next few minutes, we're going to decipher that language together. And I want you to forget everything you have been told about medieval art being simple or primitive. That's a narrative that needs questioning. In an age when most people couldn't read or write, art was the main channel of information. Artists weren't just decorators. They were the storytellers, the theologians, and the sharpest political commentators of their time. Every object, every animal, every color choice was a specific word in a visual vocabulary designed to tell a story that went much deeper than the surface. It was a bridge between our world and the divine, a way to make impossibly complex ideas about life, faith, and death accessible to everyone. So, if you're ready, we're going to investigate 3 masterpieces and expose the hidden messages they've been holding. We're going to learn how to read the code of medieval art. Our first stop is a piece so dense with code, it's practically a theological supercomputer on a wooden panel, the Ghent altarpiece, finished in 1432 by the Van Eyck brothers. When you first see the central panel, the adoration of the mystic lamb, it looks like a beautiful, peaceful scene. You've got a lush green field, a white lamb on an altar, angels, and crowds of people gathered around. But a medieval viewer would see a full-blown explosion of Christian theology. The first question is, why a lamb? That's not just some random animal. That's the Agnus Dei, the Lamb of God, the ultimate symbol for Jesus Christ and his sacrifice. And if you look closer, you'll see a wound in the lamb's chest, with blood pouring directly into a chalice. This isn't subtle. It's a direct reference to the Eucharist, the absolute center of Christian faith, where wine becomes the blood of Christ. The artists weren't just painting an idea. They were showing you salvation as a live, physical event, and the code doesn't stop there. That fountain in the foreground? That's the fountain of life, representing baptism and the promise of eternity. The crowds aren't just a random mix of fans either. They're meticulously organized. You have Old Testament prophets on one side and the leaders of the church on the other, representing all of humanity, all of history, brought together by this one single event. Even the plants aren't just background filler. The artists mixed local Flemish flowers with plants from the Holy Land, creating a sort of paradise on earth. Every detail, from the gems on the robes to the strategic use of gold to symbolize the divine light of heaven, was loaded with meaning. The Van Eycks were building an entire theological universe. They made the abstract concept of salvation real, visible, and deeply personal. This was the sacred code, designed to articulate the deepest mysteries of faith. But this secret language wasn't always used for praise and piety. Sometimes it was a weapon. It was a tool for satire and social commentary, hidden right in the margins where the powerful might not bother to look. For this next piece of code, we have to go from a massive altarpiece to the decorative borders of a book. Starting around the 13th century, a seriously weird image starts popping up in the margins or marginalia of illuminated manuscripts, a fully armored knight locked in a dramatic life or death battle with a snail. It's completely absurd. You see these brave knights cowering, raising their swords, and sometimes even losing the fight against this tiny mollusk. For years, historians were stumped. Was this just some bored monk doodling? Or was something else going on? The answer, it turns out, is a masterclass in coded satire. There are a few leading theories on how to decrypt this. One popular theory is that the snail was a symbol for the Lombards, a group of moneylenders who were widely despised for charging high interest. They were seen as cowardly, hiding in their shells and profiting without honor. So, showing a knight fighting a snail was a way to mock the Lombards, and maybe even the knights who were deep in debt to them. It was a perfect hidden insult, an inside joke for anyone who wasn't part of the corrupt system. Another theory is that it's a broader social critique. A powerful knight picking a fight with a snail is just ridiculous. The joke might have been on the entire knightly class, calling them out as bullies who only fought battles they knew they could win, or as cowards afraid of a comically small threat. It's a visual punchline that deconstructs the whole ideal of chivalry, and there are other readings to some connect the snail-ease slime trail to the slow but inevitable approach of death, while others think it references a Bible verse about the wicked melting away like a snail. The truth is, the ambiguity was the point. It gave the artist plausible deniability. It was a way to embed subversive critiques of greed and false bravery right under the noses of the wealthy patrons funding the book. It's proof that even in the most sacred texts, there was always room for a little human rebellion. This last code, this one is personal. It's not about theology or satire. It's about us. It's about the one program we all run, mortality, in the late Middle Ages. A world reeling from the Black Death that had wiped out a huge part of the population. This wasn't some dark obsession, it was daily reality. And artists created a powerful symbolic language to process it, known as memento mori, Latin for remember you must die. One of the most potent examples of this is the dance macabre, or the dance of death. This theme went viral across Europe in paintings and woodcuts. The imagery is unforgettable because it's so direct: skeletons. The literal embodiment of death are shown leading a procession of living people from every walk of life to their graves. You see a pope, an emperor, a king, a peasant, and a child all in the same line. The code here is brutally simple and profoundly democratic. Death is the great equalizer. Your power, your wealth, your piety, none of it matters. Your crown won't save you. Your gold is worthless. In these images, death is often dancing, almost celebrating as it leads its victims away. This wasn't just to be grim. It was a brutally honest system update for the soul. For the medieval viewer, the dance macabre was a reminder to live a good life and focus on their soul, not on earthly status. It's a call to humility, a message that your actions here have eternal consequences. Unlike the dense symbolism of the altarpiece or the clever wit of the snail, the code of the dance macabre is direct, universal, and aimed straight at the human condition. It strips away all pretense and forces you to confront your own mortality. So, what have we learned? We've just cracked 3 totally different codes: the sacred, the satirical, and the somber. You're now armed with a toolkit for decryption. First, you have the code of faith. You know now to look for animals like the lamb representing Christ, or objects like a lily symbolizing purity. You know that colors had a job: gold for divinity, red for sacrifice. This is the theological code, meant to teach and inspire. Second, you have the code of satire. You know to check the margins, the hidden corners, for anything that seems out of place. A knight fighting a snail, a fox in a priest's robe, these aren't random glitches. They're often biting commentaries on the corruption and hypocrisy of the powerful. This is the code of critique. And third, you have the code of mortality. When you see a skull, an hourglass, or a skeleton leading a dance, you know you're looking at a memento mori. This is the philosophical code, reminding you that life is short and death comes for everyone. These 3 keys, the sacred, the satirical, and the mortal, will change the way you see this art. Which of these codes resonates the most with you? The sacred system, the satirical rebellion, or the mortal truth? That's my read on it. But this is a conversation, and I want to hear your theories. Drop your own decryptions in the comments below. The next time you're in a museum, you won't just be looking at old paintings. You'll be scanning for code. You'll be asking, what's the official story here? What's the hidden message? And what is it trying to tell me about my own world? Because the great secret of medieval art is that it isn't silent. It's been broadcasting for centuries. We're just now learning how to listen. What other artifacts or paintings hold secrets you think we should decode? If you're into digging past the surface and questioning the narrative, join the community by subscribing. We're not just looking at history. We're excavating it together.